Hey, what's going on, everybody? I'm so excited to tell the story of what is quite literally the most well-known guitar that I own and the most famous and the most recognizable. Today, I want to tell the complete story of my Jim Root Stratocaster parts caster. A lot of you guys found me through Jim Root and or Slipknot here on this channel. Thank you so much for all you guys who have stuck around since, 2018, 2019, whatever you found me. Thank you so much. But if you're new here, thank you so much for joining me. My name is Xander Raymond Charles. I'm a guitar player, a touring musician, a hired gun, and this guitar is really responsible for a lot of my success and a lot of my, personal growth and trajectory as a human and as an artist. That's a heavy statement, but it is very true. So I want to take you guys all the way back to the beginning of when this guitar came into my life, and I want to give some behind the scenes stories and pictures, and maybe just, shed some light on some things that you might not know about this guitar and where it's been and what it's done. And if you have heard all of this before, I hope you guys just enjoy the story nonetheless, okay? So that being said, let's talk about this guitar. So the reason why this guitar came into my life, we have to go all the way back to when I first started playing guitar, truly. Because when I was about 9 or 10, and I was able to understand what a guitar was and what a guitar did, I was obsessed with Jimi Hendrix and the Stratocaster. I've said it a million times on this channel, but the Jimi Hendrix movie made me fall in love with the guitar, truly. Shortly thereafter, there was a VHS tape that my father owned called An Evening with Bon Jovi, and Richie Sambora was playing his signature Fender Stratocasters with a Floyd Rose. So I was introduced to all this stuff very, very early on before I even attempted to play a guitar. But the Stratocaster was, and quite frankly still is to this day, my favorite guitar of all time. Fast forward a little bit, I started playing guitar as a preteen, teen, and a little bit as a young adult. I took a break for a while because I did the military and I did sports and stuff like that, but I was always interested in the guitar, and then enter in 2010 the Jim Root Stratocaster. Around this time, I had realized that Stratocasters didn't do the genre music that I loved to create back in the day and still do to this day, that is hard rock and metal, but these guitars, when they were announced, it was a perfect thing for me because it was the ability to get what I would call Gibson tones out of a Stratocaster, and it literally said the correct brand name on the headstock. That is Fender. I think I fell in love with the white one because it reminded me of Jimi Hendrix's Stratocaster at Woodstock. Okay, so now let's get to when this guitar actually came into my life. So I actually got this neck before I got this body. This guitar, this part of the guitar I bought in about April of 2018, just over a year of doing YouTube. I was still trying to figure out what I wanted to do. I was still trying to figure out my voice and my place in the guitar community. I had no place back then because I was not very good at making videos, and I was still quite learning how to play guitar, as well as going in and out of physical rehab centers for surgeries and operations and stuff like that. Anyway, so I bought an all black one, and I was really, really excited about it. But actually, I bought an all black Jim Root guitar, but the fretboard, the ebony, was cracked from the 22nd fret to about, maybe the 19th fret or something like that. And I was so bummed because I loved the guitar, I loved everything about it, but I kept looking at the fretboard, and so I sent it back, and I got a new one free of charge from Musician's Friend, and then they sent over the new one, the replacement. That's when I got this neck along with the body that I no longer have. Fast forward to give or take November of 2018, I buy a used, very, very clean white Jim Root Stratocaster with the maple board. Again, I don't have the maple board, but I still got the body, right? And around this time, this is when I really kind of figured out that I'm passionate about Slipknot and guitar content and Slipknot guitar content. So I kind of leaned into that, getting my foot in the door in the guitar community, because not a lot of people were doing that band at that time. It was all the classics, the Jimi Hendrix, the Stevie Ray Vaughns, the Eddie Van Halens. Not many people were covering Slipknot tones and Slipknot techniques in 2018 and 2019. So in about May of 2019, that's when I made the swap, and I really haven't changed this guitar since, the construction of it, we'll say. But in May of 2019, I swapped the necks with the two guitars I had. And the reason being is because this was right around the Jimmy Kimmel show, when they did All Out Life and Unsainted. And I think this happened maybe a little bit before, but definitely around this time, Jim was really doing the ebony boards on all his guitars. He's since gone back to maple, back and forth, since 2019. But in 2019 specifically, that was his aesthetic. That was his thing. So I wanted to do an homage to that, and I wanted to, call it how it is, copy that, because I think it looks sick. The white and the black looked really cool at the time. So then this guitar really took off for me. I did a whole bunch of content with it. I did several covers with it. I did a riff wars with Ryan Bruce, aka Fluff, on Wrist, Beards, and Gear. This guitar was really starting to become my favorite guitar, and at the time, and still to this day, my most well-known guitar. Then around 2020, I did something drastic with this guitar. Who remembers the Break Stuff collab video that I made during the lockdown era of the world in about late May, early June of 2020? Anybody see that video? Basically, I painted myself like Wes Borland from the My Generation video, and I got red and black paint all over this guitar. And if you look closely, I'll take some secondary shots of this guitar, but there's still a lot of pink on this guitar. Let me see if I can get that to focus. There's a lot of pink on this guitar, and it's kind of sick, man. Like, that memory's still there. Let's see if I can get that. It's kind of washed out with the light. I'll take some pictures of it, but the pink is still there. I think all the black is pretty much gone nowadays, but that pink and red hue is still all over this guitar, and that's a fun memory, man. We had nothing to do and all the time in the world, and that was a way for my audience and the people who tune into my channel and my peers, a way for us to do something silly and something fun. So around this time, once I got it all painted up and once I like just ruined the finish more or less, because it's still stained to this day, almost 5 years later, it was, all bets were off on this guitar. I wanted to play it and play it and play it and play it and continue to wear it out and continue to relic it, naturally as much as I could, as well as, maybe not be the most careful with it. I'm not going to say I was, super careful with this guitar, because anytime I dropped it, anytime I bounced it off my desk, anytime, I was playing with it hard, it would get a chip somewhere. It would get a ding somewhere. These things are very easy to chip and ding, and I love that, man. So, I was just playing it and playing it and playing it, trying to get it to wear in as fast as I could. And I documented the whole process along the way, and I'm so happy that I still have a lot of these pictures to this day. Also in 2020, I failed to mention, that's when I swapped out the pickups. I had the stock pickups, the 8160 combination, and then I swapped them out because Jim Root had his new signature pickups come out. That was also really huge for me around that time, because just before that summer, last summer, August of 2019, that's when I did my one and only rig rundown with Jim Root, and that really, called how it is, put me on the map in the guitar industry. I got hired again by For the Fallen Dreams, a legendary metalcore band, to go out on tour on their headlining tour, and it was from March and April of 2024. And previously, I toured with them for the first time on the Monuments Tour in the fall of 23, and I took out a Gibson Les Paul Custom to do the A sharp, the drop A sharp. And that was a bit cumbersome. Luckily, it was only 3 songs. I think it was Insincerity, Nightmares, and Vengeance. Yeah, 3 heavy hitters. That was such a fun time. Great songs to play live. But that was it. So for the headlining tour in 24, we were doing like 6 or 7 drop A sharp songs. And that was a grueling set and a grueling tour for me, because it was like 17 songs, I think, give or take. And I had to learn all those songs and perform them to the best of my ability every single night. It was a really fast tour. I think it was only like 2.5 weeks, but it was a grueling tour nonetheless. I got a lot of great footage, a lot of cool pictures with this guitar, and then once I took it from different climates and I toured with it, that's when it really started to do what it's doing, man. It's just something about taking it out of like a cold environment, going to hot, and then having it be super steaming hot, and then playing as hard as I do and performing as well as I possibly can. This thing really started to take on a life of its own. So right before the tour, I put in the eye screws, and then take a look at that. My strap completely wore that side off. All these are cymbal marks from Mark's drums and Chris's drums, which we'll get to. But, touring with this guitar is when it really started to fall apart. Fall apart in a good way. And it was around this time that I took out the neck pickup. I was in Milwaukee at the arcade, X-Ray Arcade or something like that, some arcade music hall. It was kind of a cool spot, packed show, really, really hot show that day. But I was doing maintenance on this guitar, and I pulled out the neck pickup because I didn't need it. I didn't want anything to falter in the circuit, and I don't know, I was just truly, I think, a little bored too. So I took it out, and then I just had a single bridge pickup, and it's been that way more or less ever since. So got off the FTFD tour and immediately was hired by Elijah, who I'm, really, really glad he hired me and super thankful for, man. And he's who I'm still playing with to this day, a year later, and we're going back out on tour for like the 5th or 6th time together already in like a month and a half. So he was direct support for the Fallen Dreams, and we actually played together every single night. I think he did a guest spot on Nightmares, I think, every single night, and he came up with Chad and sang and did his thing. And that's when I met him. He actually asked me in the parking lot of the show in Nashville, Tennessee, said, "Hey, dude, do you want to play for me? Do you want to go on tour with me? Do you want to be in my band?" I had no real idea what that meant and what that entailed, but I just said, yes, 1,000% yes, I'm on board. Let's do it. Without any zero regard or, idea of what that actually looked like. I said yes right there on the spot. So kind of a little tangent there, but if you guys ever get an opportunity in life, just say yes and figure it out later, okay? So then this guitar really continued to wear, and it was my main guitar all throughout the summer of 2024. I played, I don't know, maybe 50 shows or something like that with this guitar, and the From Ashes to New tour was a crazy, grueling tour. That was like almost 2 months long, all over the United States several times. That was a long, hot tour, dude. This guitar was the main guitar. I swapped out this guitar for only one song every single night, and then from there, this was my only guitar that I played the entire tour. Then I took this guitar on the Icy Stars tour, and then I left it in Nashville, and I haven't had it really in my possession until relatively recently. And then most recently, I played my final show of 2024 in Nashville at Ceremony Fest. This guitar was in storage down in Nashville, flew in without a guitar, pulled it out of storage, opened up the case. It was all gross, it was all grimy, and I got it all set up, fixed some things on it, and played that show that night, and then took it home with me. And then from there, the last real modifications I've done is I've cut the pickguard off, and then I originally had it drilled into the body, but I've since just today actually put in a pickup ring because I think that looks cooler and it'll be a lot more secure. And I'm not sure how I feel about just like direct mounting a pickup to the body when I'm playing live. I'm just afraid it might like rip out or get bonked or something like that. Oh, I also put my first name initial there today as well. I think that looks kind of sick, right? So everybody, that is more or less the entire saga of this guitar. It's got a lot of history. I could talk about this guitar all day. Now, going forward, what am I going to do to it? Well, I don't know, man. Like, I have the idea of like getting a reverse headstock neck. I think that'd be kind of sick. But at the same time, I kind of like how this incarnation of the guitar has been together for 6 years now. So like, it's kind of, it'd be a shame to get rid of this neck because it's been there the entire time, and I want to see how worn in I can get it in. It's got some chunks out of it, like I think that's a symbol, a couple cigarette burns, just for fun. I think I had a cigarette in Nashville at like the last show. Also too, taking a look at the pickup, I think I like the regular 81 better than the Jim Root. But I love how the Jim Root looks, and I love how rusty it is and how gross it is. So it's already kind of become like a thing, right? Kind of like with the neck. It's been on for the ride this long. Why get rid of it now, right? So I don't know, man. I'm always constantly thinking about what I can do with all my guitars and modify my guitars and tinker with them. I love this thing so much, dude. And this guitar is my most well-known guitar, and the guitar that I think when people think of me, they think of this guitar. And that is so cool, man, because I'm really not the biggest fan of signature guitars. I kind of like taking stock guitars and then modding them myself to make them my own. But what's interesting and amazing about these guitars is they take on the player themselves. I think the man who designed this guitar said that himself, right? So they take on the characteristics of the player. And out of all the Jim Root signature Stratocasters out there, I think this one probably is the most well-known on the planet, right? Like, I'm not trying to stroke my own ego here, but I really think that like that might be the case. I don't know of one that is more famous than this one. And I think that's pretty cool, man. I think I've achieved something with taking a signature guitar and messing with it and making it my own, right? So everybody, with that being said, what do you guys think of my guitar? What do you guys think of my stories with it? I'd love to hear from you guys down below in the comment section. As always, I love you guys so much. Thank you so much for always checking out my music, liking, commenting, subscribing to this channel. Y'all mean the world to me, okay? I love you guys so much, and with that being said, I'll see you guys later.